Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Where is Daredevil? I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Goen from Thin Lizzy, and you're listening to Jay Scott and the Hook Rock.
So reach down, unstoppable. Wildland fires lost control. It's easier when you're giving up. A thunderstorm erase your path, wipes out everything we have. It's easier when you're giving up. But I know the times get better. Don't give up, my friend. We've got it in our hands. This is not the end of the road. Silver linings paint the sky. New horizons come to light. This is not the end of the road. On the highway to the sun, our journey carries on. This is not the end, not the end of the road. Infected by the acid rain, caught off in a hurricane.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Hope you're staying warm. It's a blistering winter out there. We've got some snow falling outside of Chicago, where I'm at. The East Coast got a big blizzard over the weekend, and they dropped 2 feet of snow in some areas and more. So hope you're all staying warm and staying safe and warm and all bundled up and listening to the Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. We are part of the Pantheon podcast network, great network of music related podcasts. There's something for everyone on the platform. You can check out my friends like Tom and Zeus on Shout Out Loudcast, the #1 ranked Kiss podcast, Baco from Cobras and Fire, Martin Popoff, the rock historian, my friends Ron and Esty, Carmen Apiece, and Vinny Appice on the Hangin' and Bangin' podcast, as well as Mistress Carrie out in Boston. I know she's probably getting some snow where she's at, so hope she's doing well out there. Once again, I'm your host, Jay Scott. You can follow Pantheon on pantheonpodcast.com, on Twitter or Facebook at Pantheon Pods. You can follow the Hook Rocks wherever you podcast, whatever platform you listen to. We are available. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Hook Rocks, as well as Facebook. Don't forget to write us a review if you enjoy the episodes. We always love your feedback, so please do. We've had some great episodes lined up over the last month or so with some new music spotlights with Scarlet Rebels from the UK, Georgia Thunderbolts from Georgia, as well as others. We had the Warning Band on to talk about their postponed tour, and they have all been rescheduled, so check out those dates as well. We talked about live music and the revenue generated last year in 2021, and also how live streaming is evolving with Christine Eagle. And also check out our year-end celebrations where we rank the top 30 albums for 2021 in 2 episodes, almost 6 hours of commentary with over 160 albums that we talked about. So everyone from legacy artists to unknown to emerging rock bands, we've got it all for you on that episode. We've got another great episode for you today. It's a band that I've enjoyed listening to for, probably for the past decade. The band is Kissin Dynamite. The guest is Hannes Braun, the singer. And they've got a new album out that you should all check out. The album is just absolutely incredible. And the album is Not the End of the Road. And we're going to get into it. But I'd like to welcome in Hannes. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, Jay. Nice to be here with you today. I'm fine, and I'm very busy these days since our release just was 1 week ago, and everything feels super exciting. Everything feels super how do you call it? I mean, the last two years were just well, let's call it different. Yes. For an artist, and now everything gets slowly but surely back to normality, and that feels just great.
Yeah, you've got some exciting news too as well with the album.
Yeah, I mean, this is out for 1 week now, and we received the result in the mainstream German album charts, and we hit on an incredible position too, which is the best. That's the best peak of Kissin Dynamite's chart entries at all, and we're super, super happy about that.
That's awesome. Well, we'll get into the album here in a bit, but we always ask the same first question every time we have a first-time guest, and that's where the show or what the show is all about. And just like every rock song has a hook that sucks you in, every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a performance, or a band that hooked you on rock and roll. What was it for you?
It was AC/DC. I don't have to think about that for a long time, because when me and my brother were kids, I mean, like 6 or 7 years old, my dad took us both to the first AC/DC concert. He was always a huge fan, and we listened to this music passively in the car or at home and stuff. So we liked that too, and wanted to go to a real rock concert, and my dad took us there. And I have an awesome memory to that show. It was in Stuttgart here in Germany, on the Stiff Upper Lip tour. And we left earlier, just before the encore, because we didn't want to get into this flood of people rushing to the exit. So we were leaving the hall while For Those About to Rock was on. And there were some drunk people lying in the hallway, and me and my brother didn't understand what's going on back then. So we asked our dad, hey, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he lying there and don't move anymore? And my dad just made a sloppy joke and said, oh, he was hit by the cannons during For Those About to Rock. And so we went home pretty shocked, but also pretty amazed of this concert and the whole impression that the band and Angus Young made on us. And that was the moment when we knew we want to do exactly the same.
When you saw that and the impact that it had on you, did you immediately want to be on stage, or was that something that, you know, the music started your passion and then eventually it led to that?
I would say it was a combination. I mean, we watched Angus Young on stage going crazy. This guy was just on fire, and we were both totally amazed by his energy, by his performance, the music that hooked us as well. And this shock moment, which had a deep impact on us with the cannon joke of my dad. So it was a combination of just overwhelming situations and overwhelming impressions that we had during that night. And the next days and weeks, we only listened to AC/DC, and the more we did so, the more we were sucked in by its awesomeness and its power, so to speak. And then once my dad came home from work, and he opened the door and asked a simple question, and that was, "So, boys, now what do you want to make out of your future? Do you want to get professional football players, or do you want to be rock musicians?" And my brother and me, we looked at each other and immediately said, "Rock musicians." So we received, luckily, my dad paid us some, the first instruments and the first lessons that we took. And from then on, everything is history, because we immediately wanted to do something with the stuff that we learned in those lessons, and formed our very first band with my dad. The funny thing about it is, well, we rehearsed in the basement of our house, and it was clear that we have to find someone our age sooner or later. And so we did. We were kind of a school band, because we met the other guys in our school, and then everything developed pretty quickly. We rehearsed, played the first gigs, and it took 2 or 3 years more after we had formed our very first band to receive the first record deal with EMI.
Wow. How was your influences in terms of, obviously AC/DC, one of the greatest bands of all time, has a huge impact on you and a lot of other bands, but what other musicians, what other singers influenced you in your approach and your style?
Oh, okay. Well, the first to name for me personally is Klaus Meine from the Scorpions, because this has always been a band that I loved a lot, and I would still call it one of my favorite bands, because for some reason I had 2 records that I had to listen to be able to fall asleep. I know that sounds weird, but it was true. The one was Razor's Edge of AC/DC, and the other one was Scorpions' Best Of. And I listened to them each and every night, sometimes this, sometimes that. But I had to do so to find some inner peace, to let go and to really fall asleep. So it was the same magic that AC/DC had on me, the same magic Scorpions also had on me. And I liked his singing style, because I'm not a dirty singer at first, like Bon Scott or Brian Johnson is, but more of a clear singer like Klaus Meine, I would say. And he influenced my singing style pretty much. And I loved the songwriting of Rudolf Schenker and Klaus Meine always. And they're still a great band, and I still go to see them live. It's just an incredible band.
When you get into your writing style and you write songs, was there a song that influenced you, or maybe kind of nudged you to say, "Hey, I can do this. I want to do this. I love how the lyrics are connecting with me. I want to write music that connects with people." Was there a song, a particular moment that happened?
Well, I would say it's "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, because this is truly, or at least in my opinion, this is the best rock song ever. I'm amazed still by the how do you call it, the sudden energy that it evolves in people when the riff comes in, and even if in some football stadiums, if somebody starts, "Oh, we're halfway there," and suddenly the whole stadium is singing, it's just this incredible power in that tune, and the hope in that song that always captured me and left me amazed. And so I always wanted to write a song that great. I truly didn't write a song that great for a long time, because I guess that's just one in a million song that you don't write every day. And, but still, I mean, the song doesn't get bad. I've listened to it 1,000 times at least, but still, if I'm in a bar or in a club or whatever, and suddenly Living on a Prayer is on, then the party's lit.
It is a fantastic song, and you're right. It's one of the best songs in rock history. It tells a story. It's got a great hooks, and that's what I really have noticed or really love about the band Kissin Dynamite are the hooks, the big choruses, the way it kind of really pulls you in, because it is reminiscent of that Scorpions Bon Jovi style of music. I think it's absolutely incredible, and the new album is awesome, and it's well deserved to have that number 2 ranking. Not the end of the road. The album starts out with the title track that is very positive, or has a positive outlook on life, because like you said, the last 2 years have been different and a struggle for a lot of people. And you constantly hear people say, well, this is going to be what it's like from now on. This is the new normal. This is what's happening. And I think we forget about how resilient we are as human beings. And at some point, this is all going to be behind us, I firmly believe. And that's really what the title track is about. And can you speak to, or what was the motivation for writing this song?
You basically named it already. I mean, this song was, you could say, a self-therapy for myself, because I wrote this song just immediately after our old drummer, or former drummer, Andy, left the band. And this was the first lineup change that we had in almost 15 years of a career. So I was pretty shocked. I was disappointed. I was also a little angry about the whole situation, because we were fucked already pretty much by the pandemic. And suddenly we had whole lot of different problems to find a new band member, because what we knew is that we wouldn't ever give up, no matter how shitty the situation is. And this disappointment and this shock that I felt the next morning after he told us quickly developed in some sort of feeling, fuck, no, Kissin Dynamite is not giving up. This is not the end, and it's not the end of the road. So this title came to my mind all of a sudden, and I've written this song in hours, in just a few hours, because I needed it for myself, And after I sent it over to the guys, they loved it a lot. And suddenly we knew, okay, we have to do this as a first single, because it is also a statement to our fans. It's not just a self-therapy that made us feel better. It's also a message that our fans needed to hear, because they felt miserable too, because they were really thinking, oh, is this going to be the end of Kissin Dynamite, or what's going to happen? And so we released that in summer last year, and without knowing that it had even a deeper impact on so many people than we thought, because of the pandemic, for example, because a lot of people fight depression, a lot of people fight anxieties that came with this worldwide pandemic. And this song gives them hope. And we received a lot of messages, a lot of, even through the radio, by some listeners who told with tears in their eyes how awesome they think the song is, and how much hope they pull out of it. So that's actually the best compliment that you can get as an artist. And that makes it very, very unique to us. And I'm so proud of this tune.
As you recorded this album, I mean, you mentioned this song and the powerful statement that it makes to fans and music lovers all over. But as recording the album, obviously a lot of bands had to do remote recordings and record things differently. What was that process for you guys?
Well, it didn't change so much, because what most people don't know, I didn't only produce this record, but also Ecstasy, the previous one, and the previous one before Ecstasy. So I have my experience in producing Kissin Dynamite. And the thing is, the last 2 records were, I lived in the very north of Germany during that time. So we were basically 900 kilometers away from each other, which made it difficult to meet all the time and to have these kind of normal studio sessions. So we did a lot over the distance by sending us files and stuff. So the pandemic was partly the same situation, although I moved to the south of Germany again, where we actually are more or less on the same spot, 50 kilometers away of each other. We couldn't meet all the time too, because there were lockdowns here in Germany where it was simply not allowed. So we also had partly these virtual sessions, that Jim and me basically sent us some tracks via internet and build up the record by that. But of course, it was very, very cool to have also some sort of normal sessions that happened all the time. Also during these it was an up and down. Sometimes we had a lockdown, and the next time everything was quite open again. So it was a roller coaster ride all in all, but we enjoyed it a lot since we all felt this new energy and this new power that came along with these circumstances that we had to deal with.
When you think of this album and with all the stuff that was happening around the world, and you think of where the band Kissin Dynamite has come from, where has the band evolved the most, in your opinion?
I think it's you could say lyrically. So in our minds, we became, or we've grown adults. I mean, that's pretty logical. We started as a school band when we were 15 and 16 years old. We had our first record deal, and you could hear that because on our debut album, we were just paying tribute to our favorite bands that I mentioned already, like AC/DC, Scorpions, Bon Jovi, etc. It was not something that you could call an own style, and throughout the years and with each album that we did, we checked out what's possible for Kissin Dynamite. We've walked new horizons. We experimented a little to the left and a little to the right. And it really took a while until we found our very own style, and also to find our message that is the most important to us, because we have always been a band that don't stick their heads in the sand. We've always been a band that looks optimistically in the future, no matter which problems come our way. And talking about the pandemic and the exit of our former band member Andy, those were the shittiest days ever in the career. And to write an album as a self-therapy, to tell ourselves we won't give up and we will fight ourselves through that shit. That was the most grown-up thing that we did in our whole life, I would say. And you can hear that too in the lyrics, because we really deal with pure, honest emotion. And it's not just a party fun album that is superficial and somehow childish, but it's a real mature grown-up album that's I guess will speak to a lot of people.
When you think of that evolution that's happened, especially on this album, because of some of the subject matter and the writing and what everybody was going through, were you conscious of this evolution, or was there a sense of it happening organically? What was happening with the band, and how did you arrive to the music with this album?
This is always, to be completely honest, I'm partly a perfectionist, or at least I'm pretty pedantic when it comes to working on music for the band, because I doubt a lot during the process. So I've written this album in more than a year, of course, with breaks in between, but I needed to give myself this time to really overthink things 100 times, which is pretty annoying, but it is the way it is. And it's a slow process of finding those tracks and writing those tracks that really feel perfect for Kissin Dynamite and feel perfect for ourselves. And during this process, you don't look so much back on what you did too much. It's more that way once you finish the album and once it's out. This is the main point. Then you look back with a smile on the whole process, and you remember all those good times and all those doubts and how unnecessary they were, because you yourself and also the people you celebrated, and it's an awesome feeling. I cannot describe that in words, but I didn't feel so much of a master plan during the writing of this album. I just let it happen organically and total naturally. I said to myself, okay, I use every emotion that comes up that is strong enough to trigger my songwriting.
When you think of this album, you mentioned the therapy that it was able to give you with everything happening. When was this album recorded?
Well, as I said, it was a long period, and talking about recording an album, it's also work in progress. Since the first demo, I did that in spring 2020, and some tracks that I recorded back then were still in the final production. Some others I threw out. So you cannot really say at this point the recording started and it was finished at that point. Because it's just, like this natural process of developing all the time. But I really started to write and produce the first demos in spring 2020. And I finished everything in, I don't know, June or July this year. So it was really, really a long time.
How do you stay with a song that you've recorded or demoed for 2 years prior to the release? I mean, you mentioned, the 2020 timeframe of when some of this stuff was demoed and recorded, and now you have 2022, this album coming out. Is it hard to stay with a song, or does the song evolve with you or with the time? How does that process begin and end with you in terms of writing music?
Well, it's not hard at all, because this, like one of the first songs on this record is a pretty sad one, probably the most the saddest song that we ever did. It's called Scars, because I was going through a difficult time by the end of 2019 and also during the start of 2020. So talking about true, honest emotion, I just wrote this song because I needed it. And if I listen to this song nowadays, I feel the sad moments again, but I look differently on it because I'm proud that I have left this situation behind me, but still I'm proud to have written this song, and I'm still proud to listen to this song because I think it's a real beautiful tune. And so this, you could call, I would put it more generally, you could call this album some sort of a journey, because it goes through highs and true lows, and it's basically like life itself, because I don't know anybody who's just happy all the time or just sad all the time. It's just about how humans feel,
As a musician, we know whether the events are tragic or positive, musicians and artists use those moments for inspiration to write. And as a person, though, you mentioned therapy. How much has music helped you over the last few years?
Sorry. I think Music was the only reason why I achieved a lot of changes in my life that were totally necessary to do, because you get to a point in your life when you have some sort of, you think about, okay, am I going to continue like the way I was living up to now, or am I going to change something? Because what we all can feel is some insecurities or some, how do you call it? Some sort of something bothers you, but you cannot really name it at first. And you truly have to find out at first what it is. And music always helped me a lot, because if I listen to some songs that triggered some emotions deep inside, that was a moment of clarity, and those moments of clarity were absolutely necessary to find out which way I want to go, and also for the rest of the band, which way we want to go. So for me, music is an essential part of my life, and it shows me the way.
What's in store for Kissin Dynamite in 2022?
In 2022, we hopefully will play a lot of great festivals that are still on the list since it was postponed 2 times. And I think we will do some tour dates. We are planning in the background a lot since quite a time now. And we will come out sooner or later with a huge tour to this new album, and we're all pretty excited about that. So that's the reason why we do this.
Awesome, Hans. It's been a great conversation. I appreciate you coming on. The new album is fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jay. Also, it was a pleasure talking to you.
The new album is not the end of the road. The band is Kissin Dynamite. Go check it out. It's available everywhere. I'm Jay Scott. This is The Hook Rock. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, and take care of each other. We'll talk soon.
Favorite albums with James Campion.
I don't think there's an album I know better front to back. I learned how to play guitar to a lot of these songs.
If I could pick one record to hand someone and say this is what it feels like to be a woman, it would be this record.
The engineer that was recording the album for us was a novice engineer. He was really the janitor.
The first half of these sessions for the album were totally improvisatory, in the sense that they went into the studio and just dealt with whatever happened.
There was space that was left for these listeners to kind of discover it for themselves. That they would say, yeah, my parents listened to it, but I had to build my own relationship to it.
Happiness, good living, peace, love, rock and roll. I just feel like this album is such a wonderful translation of that concept.
People understood they were in a world historical moment, and it felt like it was going to last forever. In fact, the infinite spaces that they explored in The Giant Now is part of what made that explosion so huge.